Well, all right. Happy Thursday to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys may be tuning in from today. My name is Coach Lois. I am the owner and founder of Lois Koffi Enterprises here in Southern California. However, I am global. That's why I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And of course, for those of you watching the replay, sorry to have missed you on the live, but super excited that the replay will be out today. So today we're talking about how to leverage my Koffi Sales Formula to increasing your sales results in less time, ultimately through permission-based sales and lead gen. And I love to always remind people here that our goal in life, I think, through our vacation, through what we teach and serve with our products and service, is to make an impact. But guess what? How many of you here would like to make an income and maybe even make an income in a bigger amount in less time? That's kind of my shtick, is to help you be able to do that. So today we have a 90-minute masterclass. We will have Q&A at roughly the halfway point. I'm going to be watching my time. In fact, let me set a timer. Just because I do want to honor everybody's schedule. I do not plan on answering any questions until the halfway point. So right around the 45-minute mark, I will take your questions, and you can put those questions in the Q&A feature. I would actually encourage you to maybe kind of wait as it gets closer to that time, in case maybe I answer your question through the training. And then of course I'll also do Q&A at the end. So make sure you're distraction free as best as possible. Make sure you have a journal and or a notebook to write with and write on, and to the best of your ability, stay here the whole time. And ideally, if you need to take a bathroom break, it might happen during the Q&A, which again is around roughly the halfway point, around the 45-minute mark. So who am I? A fair amount of you already know me, so I'll keep this really brief. I grew up on a farm in Iowa. My family farm no longer is in our family, but that's a picture of that on the lower left-hand corner. I am a 12-week year certified trainer. We'll talk about that later. I'm one of few hundred on the planet, on this planet anyway, that is certified in that as part of my sales training. I added that in 2019. And then, of course, my husband, my beautiful, amazing husband, that's me and him at a Halloween party back in 2013. We love having fun, and we love Halloween. And of course, our beautiful children, a couple Christmases ago, my daughter's dance recital, my son, Henry, and my daughter, Desiree, who are both March babies. So we are celebrating them this month. And that's me on the left-hand side. I love sales. So I love this picture. None of my siblings had a picture with them cradling a phone. If you ever knew me in real estate and back in my 20s, my first sales career in real estate, I did 2 hours of lead generation every day because my coach said that's what I had to do. My mentor, who got me into real estate at the tender age of 22, he was making phone calls every day. 2 hours a day between 9 and 11 a.m. for his prospecting, otherwise known as lead generation. And I got into that rhythm and that habit very, very young. And that's why I love that picture, because I say jokingly, my first sales call was when I was a baby, because I love the phone. I love sales, and I see sales as service. I also was a personal trainer. I was in the health and fitness industry besides real estate. That's me working with the Tony Horton, if anybody loves P90X. I was a P90X certified trainer and fitness. I also sold fitness and nutritional products, and was also in the network marketing industry. And in between those two photos is a picture of New Zealand. When I think of sales and I think of making an income in less time, and I think about being true to myself and my passions and my dreams, I think about living in New Zealand and having a home there someday. And I'd love for you guys during this time, as we're going together, I'd love for you to share some of your goals and dreams. And we're actually going to be working on those a little bit today as well. And I will tell you really quickly, everything that I learned in sales has come to me over the past 22 years. I was very fortunate to have great coaches and mentors in my early 20s. And so I was able to make six figures working not even full time as a realtor. I never worked nights and weekends as a realtor. In fact, even with my personal training career, I worked more like part-time hours and still made a great income. So I always had systems that duplicated over every single industry. However, that being said, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I didn't have an online business. I didn't know how to sell online. I had no clue. I was a face-to-face, belly-to-belly person. So I got to be honest with you, I freaked out. I was terrified, if I'm honest. I felt like I had this huge monkey on my back, and I was kind of in a fork in the road moment, and I was afraid to sell myself online. It's true. I had been selling for other companies and other organizations for quite a while. Even in real estate, you're technically selling yourself, but you're also selling for a broker. So here I was getting ready. I'd just gotten my 12-week year certification, ready to jump in and lead with me. And I want you to think, how does this apply to you right now? Because I think, honestly, it does. I had no email list, no tribe online, no digital offers, no website, no sales system. I was also homeschooling. My kids had never homeschooled before, and it was March, exactly this week, 2 years ago, is when we went into the lockdown here in California. And I had to figure out, and we had moved to California, by the way, just like 6 months prior. So I didn't have a network here. I just barely joined a BNI group. And I had to start from scratch in so many different areas of my life, including trying to figure out in our small little 2-bedroom apartment, living in a guest home on someone else's property, which is where we landed when we first moved here. I had to figure out how to manifest and monetize my business. And it was not easy. However, I will tell you what I focused on were the 4 things I'm going to teach you today. The 4 things that, again, you have a notebook. I'm going to have you do work. This is a master class. This is not just me talking at you for 90 minutes. You don't need that. You don't deserve that. I'm going to have you do some work along the way. And I was able to duplicate what I did offline into online. And I love this quote by Oprah Winfrey. What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And that's what I did. I failed forward. I was very transparent and vulnerable about my journey, specifically in those first 6 months, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to take one step every day, 1 foot in front of the other, get 1% better, and speak my truth. And that's one of the messages I want you to own today, is that your voice, your truth that you speak in your business through your vocation, because that's what you do most of your waking hours. I'm assuming maybe you don't work a lot. I don't know, but you deserve to be seen, to be heard, and to be paid in 2022. We're going to talk about your unique selling proposition. That's one of the first things we're going to work on. And here's the daily system that I created while being terrified of speaking my truth, while not sure how to navigate this new online world. Number 1 was how to have the right mindset and being and becoming a fearless salesperson. Even though I had already been selling for 20 years, I was still really, really scared of this new normal, right? And number 2, how to create more sales and balance. I do believe in work-life balance. I always have, even at the times when I was a workaholic and I was out of balance. I came back to center and recognized, you know what? Life is short. I want to make an impact. I want to make an income, but I also want to, like Jim Rohn says, are you here to make a living or design a life? How many of you can relate to that? I'm here to design a life and to make an impact through my vocation, but then also through my passions. So we're going to talk about the 12-week year and how that can apply to you. We're also going to talk about how you can build a system. Remember, it's a journey. It took me about 6 months to get into the rhythm of generating 100 to 400 leads a month. It only took me 6 months. Someone might be like, whoa, that's a lot, Lois. And that's okay. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk about what that looks like later. But how many of you here would like to generate 100 to 400 leads a month? And I'm not talking about, bad leads. I'm talking about not buying leads. I'm not talking about paid advertising. I'm not a coach on that. Just FYI, I don't believe in paid advertising personally. I've been able to do multiple 5 figures a month with a system that I can teach you, and be able to do it without spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's a beautiful thing. And then, of course, step number 4 is follow-up. Do you have a follow-up system? We're going to talk about that today. So step number 1 is, how, first of all, do you perceive yourself in a sales role? We are all in sales. I already said earlier that I believe sales is service. It's your purpose. It's your passion. Everyone is in sales. You sold yourself to get out of bed this morning. You sold yourself to maybe drink a cup of coffee or not. You sold yourself on choosing the partner that you have, whether you're married or dating or single, whatever, your business partner. They had to sell you on them and you had to sell you on you to them. So we're always making an impression. We're always, as I like to say, serving and shining our light out to the world. And yet I know so many people that say, I don't like sales, Lois, I'm not a salesperson. And I can tell you right now that that's a fear-based thought. Somewhere you probably had a bad experience with a salesperson, a used car salesperson, like from this movie, Glengarry Glen Ross. And that's okay. That's why I'm here. I saw a lot of that, especially during the pandemic, people sending me links without my permission, saying, hey, watch this video. I love your feedback, or, doing crazy stuff, cold email, all of the things. And I want to shift your consciousness around the word sales, because if you have any subconscious negative thoughts about it, it's holding you back from achieving your greatness, from achieving your highest and best self through your career. Your thoughts determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. This is from the 12-week year. But this is no different really from Think and Grow Rich, right? If you've read that book. I'm also going to make a couple other book recommendations, the 12-week year and another one that I'm getting certified in currently. It goes deeper than even the subconscious, because whether you take action on your lead generation system that we create today or not, inaction is an action. Not taking action on doing your lead generation or your income producing activities, whatever you call it, your daily way of being seen, being heard, so that you have the opportunity to get paid. Inaction is also an action, and it all comes from within your head brain, but also your heart brain. And we're not going to go too deep into this because we want to roll up our sleeves. We want to write down other stuff, but I want you to take a look at this. And if you haven't read this book, you can totally check it out. It's called You're Not Broken by Christopher Michael Duncan. He's one of my mentors. I'm actually studying his certification now on recoding the superconscious, because that's part of step number 1 is being and becoming a fearless salesperson, or a fearless business owner, or a fearless service-oriented business owner. Whichever one of those resonates with you. A lot of our inaction or action comes from this place where we may not feel good enough. We may not feel worthy of the income that we desire, or maybe we don't feel worthy of serving a certain amount of clients because maybe we don't believe we're experienced enough. Maybe we feel like we're insignificant. Who am I to, be this successful person? Maybe we've been rejected or abandoned a lot in life. I can relate to that, where you then think, well, I'm just not capable, or I'm not allowed to maybe hit my financial goals, or I'm not allowed to have a podcast. These limiting beliefs that go super, super deep. Maybe you think you have to be a perfectionist. You can't have success until everything's perfect. I see that one all the time. People can't have an email list until they have the perfect copy. They can't have any sales until their offer is perfect. Well, guess what? You got to go through the door and test things, have a beta offer, have a beta group, whatever, and fail forward in order to have that progress, in order to become better, right? Then, of course, there's always the I don't belong. I've felt that way many times before in my life, because I just felt like I was different, right? And I was afraid as a result of that to speak up, to speak my truth. Do any of these resonate with you? These 6 beliefs or identities can very well be holding you back from serving your highest potential. I share with a lot of people my story. My mom was a schizophrenic. I was actually born in a mental institution hospital in Cherokee, Iowa. My mom was not well for decades before I was born. So our family had a lot of energy around that, a lot of fear, a lot of shame. And I didn't want to make waves. So I became, at a very young age, I chose to be a perfectionist. I chose to be a good girl and to keep my voice down, to not speak my truth. Actually, I manifested an autoimmune disease in my early 30s on top of that, because I was afraid to lead with Lois. And as a result of that's why I was terrified in the beginning of the pandemic, because I didn't want to be seen as a phony, all of these things, right? And I didn't make a lot of money right away because I was just really not believing in myself enough to put my offer out there in an appropriate way. So I had to learn through that process. I had to rewrite the framework, because what you focus on expands. When you focus on the goodness in your life and what's possible as opposed to what's broken, you'll create more of that goodness. So whatever you focus on expands. Robert G. Allen, if you see the world through your dreams, prosperity materializes before your very eyes. If you see the world through your fears, poverty multiplies all around you. And that's where I was at the beginning of the pandemic because of fear. However, we flipped the script. So what I want you to do right now, and this is important, you guys. I know a lot of people say, well, this is mindset. I can just read the book, all of that. But I really want you to sit with us for a second. I'm going to go back up to this slide. And I want you to pick one or two and write them down. What are these beliefs or identities that might be holding you back? Is it number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6? You can even take a screenshot, and I'll tell you how you can get the slides later. People always just say, oh, just tell me the lead generation system. I don't want to talk about this stuff. And guess what? I can guarantee you that's what's holding you back. Is you got to have a morning ritual or routine and remember your greatness. Remember the genius inside of you. Remember why you're here, your purpose, your passion, and rewrite it every day. That's really what the premise of Think and Grow Rich is, and why it has served so many so well, and was written during the Great Depression, right? So You're Not Broken was written during, actually just before the great, I guess they call it the Great Resignation. What we've been through now is called the Great Resignation. In 2019, I think it was written. So rewrite the script and rewrite this every day before you go out and do your lead generation, before you go and do your sales calls. I will tell you, it will recode your superconscious and you will feel better. You'll show up better. You'll have more energy. You'll even probably notice how it'll change your marriage and your relationship with your kids, your relationship with yourself, relationship with family members. I will tell you, at the beginning of the pandemic, my marriage was not in a good place at all, because I was also going through a lot personally. And by working through these tools and then the 12-week year, I was able to move forward with intention and belief in myself. So again, go back and rewrite that belief and do it every day. And Think and Grow Rich, he actually has you do that. I think, what is it, for 30 days straight? Do this for 30 days straight. I choose to be more than enough. I choose to be worthy. I choose to be significant and serve. I choose to have it all because I'm more than capable and powerful beyond measure. I choose to love myself as I am and be me. Progress versus perfection. That was my big one. I learn as I go, and I don't have to have all the answers. And of course, the last one, I choose to create an amazing tribe and feel connected to my highest self and others. So for me, I used all of these over the last 2 years to get to where I'm at and to stay at multiple 5 figures a month. It's a part of my daily routine. The next part of mindset is really key, and this is where I want you to really start writing things down. Again, if you're just joining us, make sure you have a journal, something to write with and write on. Make sure that you have intentional clarity about your 5 W's. Some of you have been with me for a while, so you know what I mean by that, so I'm going to break it down. Your 5 W's is exactly what it says on this screen, and it still goes 100% with mindset. Setting an intention every day of who you're going to go talk to and how many people. That's the first W is who. Who are you going to go talk to and how many people? What are you going to say to them, or what are you going to invite them to? Today, I invited people to this. This was my what? My masterclass. I've had other lead magnets. I've had my podcast. I'm going to explain a little bit more about that when we get to the lead generation time. When are you going to go and talk to these people? I'm a big fan of doing lead generation every morning before noon, because guess what? I homeschool still. I have a life now. I was a workaholic at the beginning of the pandemic, and I said that doesn't work for me. So I work less and make more money. It's really cool because I'm very intentional and I'm focused. Where are you finding them? Where are you finding them? And why? What is your why? We're gonna work on the USP. I call it unique selling proposition. That's what I call your why. That's what sets you apart from your quote unquote competition, even though I don't believe in competition. I believe each and every one of you has a unique sole purpose that you're driven here to be of service to people. I really truly believe that. And I want to, pass that belief on to you guys. So who is your who? Who is your target audience? Go ahead and write that down. I'm actually going to see if I can stop share for a second. I want to, and remember, if you're just joining us, I'm going to do a question and answer in about 25 minutes because I know that this is probably going to bring up some questions for you. So I want to just honor that and go through that. So this is where you're rolling up your sleeves. You got to be doing work with me alongside me. This is really important. This is the part of the masterclass where even though hopefully you already did some of the work with the limiting beliefs and the subconscious, superconscious things that hold you back, but this is really important for the rest of the class. So I'm just going to reiterate that. So who is your who? Who is your target audience? If I had enough time, I was thinking about getting a volunteer and having you hop on, but we have so much to cover today. But if any of this resonates with you and you're stuck here, you can book a discovery or a quantum leap strategy session with me. I'll talk about how you can do that later. But who is your target audience? Write that down. Is it women? Is it married couples? Is it families? Is it coaches? I'll talk about. I love working with coaches and healers and transformational leaders. Those are my favorite. Who? It can be a profession. So hopefully, again, you're writing this down. This is where you got to be doing some work. Is it a certain professional? Is it global? Write that down. Is it a global business? Do you have a global business, or your clients all over the world? Are they in a specific geographic area? Like here I am in Southern California. I know we have some Southern California folks. Are you only in Southern California, or are you all of California? This is important. You need to have this before you set your lead generation plan. You don't have to necessarily answer the how many today or right now. We're going to talk about that when we get to the lead generation plan. What is it that you're offering? What is your offer? What is your offer? Is it health and wellness? But go deeper. Write that out. Is it better life? Is it freedom from pain? I know there's a lot of health and wellness people. We also have like Jenny, you do amazing work with video, audio, visual. What is it that you help them with? Do you have a program? Is there a 6-month program? Is there a 1-month program? So I'm going to type that on here. What do you service? What is your service? But then also, what is your offer? This is important. Don't worry, I'm gonna delete some of this. I know it's not gonna go all on the screen, but write that down. What is your service that you're providing, or what is your product? And what is your offer? What is the end result of them working with you? Is it a better health, better wealth, better finances? In my case, it's better life through increased sales results in less time. And I'll share with you my example of what this is going to look like, but I really want you to do this. Then, of course, when are you doing your lead generation? That's all part of the mindset, having an intention. Do you time block every day or 3 times a week is my recommendation, either every day, Monday through Friday, or at least 3 times a week, where you are actively, intentionally going out there into the marketplace, whether it's in person or online. This all applies to in person and online. I'm happy to tell you that. I just joined eWomen Network. I hadn't been inside of a networking group for well over a year. I finally did that so I can go and do some more in-person stuff. So when are you finding these people? And then, of course, and I just make a recommendation. I always recommend do it at the highest and best use of your time. For me and most of my clients, it's before noon. So like for me, I usually like to do it between 9 and 11 a.m. daily. That is my intention, my mindset around my lead generation plan. Then where? For me, it's LinkedIn, Facebook, and then of course my new eWomen network. So I do have 3 places. I don't necessarily recommend that. There can be pitfalls if you have too many. I would say start with 1 and master it. That could be one of your goals you set today, but write that down. Where do you find your people? And then, of course, and we're going to work more on this on the next slide, is your why, your USP. So I want to keep moving along here. This is where I led by example. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for the moment. But this is really your why, otherwise known as your unique selling proposition. This is why you are here. You're drawing breath, and this is part of your why with your vocation. I'm not going to talk about your personal why today because we don't have enough time, but that's really important as well. You know, your vocation is what you do most of your waking time. And of course, you have family time, you have hopefully hobbies and other stuff. But this is what makes you unique in the marketplace. So we help, you can write this down, we help, or I help, blank to get to blank. What is their surface level result? You can also screenshot this if you want. Via what methodology, system, product, service, so that they can get to where? Where are you taking them? What is their end result? What is actually, it's what is it? What's in it for them? Why are they hiring you? They never have to do what they hate. And then I'm going to break the rest down. So you can just write that down. So first and foremost, and I want you to consider the target market or niche that you are serving. That's filling in that first blank. And just so you know, I did get this concept from Russell Bronson's Expert Secrets book. I read that at the beginning of the pandemic because I had never had an online business. I never did webinars before. I never had a podcast. I didn't have an email list, all of it, right? So I had to figure it out. How am I going to make myself unique in the marketplace? Thankfully, I already knew about unique selling proposition from my years in sales. And I knew that this is what people are buying. They're buying my why. They're buying my USP. They're buying me, first of all. But they're also buying the USP. So they're buying you. They're buying your why. They're buying your passion. They're buying their belief that you can help them. And you've got to be getting better at declaring that and putting that out there through your marketing, but even through your daily lead generation. When someone says, what do you do? Boom. This is not just what you do. This is who you are and who you serve. So my example, and then I'm going to give you guys some time. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So my target market, and I want you to do this along with me if you can. It may or may not be confusing, but and you can, this is where you, if you wanted to, you could start putting questions in the Q&A feature. I want to help you with this. Who is your target market or your niche? There's a phrase, specific is terrific, and there's riches and niches. For me, I like working with coaches, healers, and then transformational leaders of businesses, companies, etc. But I keep it really, really succinct, and I put it out there inside of all of my marketing, and I'll show you my example on the next slide. Then their surface level result when they work with me is they want to make $10,000 to $20,000 a month, every month, consistently. Usually, I have had people who wanted to get $5,000 a month. Whatever, it's perfect. Whatever your number is perfect. I like to be more specific and give people a range because I love working with people who want to get there as opposed to someone who wants to get to $100,000 a month, right? So do you know their surface level result? Again, if it's health and wellness, do they have, longevity? Do they have the ability to play with their grandchildren more, better eyesight, better sleep, better poop, all of the things, right? If you're a financial advisor, you're really talking about freedom and future and retirement. If you're a business coach or a coach, like me, what is their quantifiable end result? Because of working with you, where do you take them? So write that down. Then do you have a method or a system or a program? So for me, it's my 4-step proven formula. And I have small group coaching. I have my membership, which you guys will hear about later today. And I also have some free tools. But what is your core offer? What is your core system or methodology? And then, of course, what is the deeper result? What's in it for them? Which for me is actually helping people grow to that 10 to 20K so that they can live laptop lifestyles, create work-life balance, and never have to worry about their next customers, where they're coming from. Or they never have to worry about feast or famine income or roller coaster income, up and down, up and down, up and down, which is usually a symptom that they don't have a lead generation plan and a sales process, right? And that's great. If you guys are putting things in the chat, that is awesome. Just remember, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A feature. So the other thing that's something to consider is after their deeper result, and sometimes you're going to maybe have to sit with it a little bit as to the difference between the surface level result and the deeper level result. In some ways, sometimes it could be the same, but I want you to think of it this way. The surface level is quantifiable. Like, for example, if it's weight loss, they want to lose 50 pounds. Maybe you specialize in working with, I helped a chiropractor who specialized in working with men 50 to 60 years old, very specific target market, lose 50 pounds or more, surface level result, with his weight loss system. And of course, the deeper result was so they could have more life in their years and more years in their life. They could have better, sex life, better marriage partnership, better energy to go travel, all of the things. So that was the deeper result. So that's another example. And then, of course, how much time? Now, keep in mind, I'm not a huge fan of the guarantees out there in the world. Someone will say, hey, guarantee 90 days or your money back or this, that, or the other. And I think that's a little bit, this is just me being real with you. It can be, hard to sell a guarantee unless, of course, you maybe have like a lower end product. Like I used to sell shakes, right? So there was like a 60-day money back guarantee. So maybe that applies to you. Just know that if you have something that's higher ticket, or maybe if you're financial services, the guarantee is probably optional because you deserve to be paid for your time. If you are being paid for your time, then a guarantee can be very tricky. So I don't coach on guarantees, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew that that's why I put on there optional. However, I do tell my clients that in order to get to 10 to 20K months every month, they've got to make a minimum of a 6 to 9 month commitment. And I use the 12-week year to kind of measure that out. That's why those numbers are there. Do you have a time frame that they can achieve a result with yours? And do you include that in your marketing? Write that down. So in summary, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to actually give you some time. I'm going to set the timer and give you some time to write out yours. And this again goes back to, we're still on step number 1 on mindset, because most people don't put this in their marketing. I have my USP. I'll also call it my mission statement or my marketing message. So whenever I go to a networking event, boom, I have something I can say. It's right there. Some people call it elevator pitch, intramercial. I don't care what you call it. But how do you show up when someone says, oh, tell me about you. What do you do? And I see a lot of people fumbling, stuttering, uttering, and muttering because they don't do this exercise. So again, this slide will convert into this. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, if you go to some of my landing pages, my website, this is written on there. And sometimes it's written shorter because the number of characters, because you only have like 3 to 10 seconds to get someone's attention. And then there's the longer ones when I might be going and speaking in an event, if someone's introducing me. So you can have like 5 to 6 to 7 different iterations of this. You've got to have this. This is all part of setting your intention as you go out into the marketplace and set up that lead generation system. If you don't have this, you're going to feel like you're wandering out in the desert aimlessly. So I want you to write down, and if you need me to go back to one of the slides, let me know, but I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to start now. 3 minutes. Because I want you to actually get work done during this masterclass so that you can walk away and start using this today. So I've got the timer going. I see a question in the Q&A feature. If you need me to go back up to that unique selling proposition slide. Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. Grace asked a great question. WIIFT, what's in it for them? What's in it for them? So going up here, their deeper result, what's in it for them? I made that example of that chiropractor who had the weight loss program. So their surface level result was to lose 50 pounds or more. My surface level result for my clients is to get them to making 10 to 20K a month, every month, consistently like clockwork, whether they work or not. Their deeper result, what is their deeper result? What's in it for them? Usually long-term, like there's a shift in their life that they will now say, you know what, because of that program or because of working with Leslie or because of working with Grace or because of working with Harumi, that's where the referrals start flowing in. Also, this will help you get more referrals. If nothing has gotten your attention up till now, this will get the referrals flowing because not everyone's going to be your customer, right? Most everyone won't. However, most everyone could become a referral source if you do it right. All right, you got 1 more minute where you're taking the notes. If you were following along, again, not just listening to me, but writing out the words, this turns into this. And this is important because we're going to talk about business goals here before we get to the Q&A. Okay, yeah, I saw, yep, this is, again, take a screenshot. I had mentioned that too. You can always take a screenshot. And if you want the slides, I'll tell you later how to get them. But this was the screenshot. And again, delete my answers and insert with yours. And if you, obviously you can only grasp like 10% of anything in any one time. So you're going to want to watch the recording and complete this exercise. But this is super important. So do you guys at least have a good start? Drop in the chat if you feel like, oh my gosh, that was helpful. Do you have a good start? Is there anybody here who never has done that before? And I can't, if you're raising your hand, I won't call on you. Make sure you put it in the Q&A feature. Okay, good. Awesome, Ashley. Wonderful. Lovely. Awesome to see you. So that's your homework is to, because I could have turned this into a 5-hour workshop, you guys. There's so much here. But this is a good start for you to go forth and then be able to chunk it down and put it on your LinkedIn profile, chunk it down, put it in your Facebook bio, chunk it down, put it on your website. Oh yeah, people follow people that have direction and purpose. People are hungry for leadership. People are starving for you. People are praying for you. They want help. And the more clear and intentional you get about your purpose and your mission statement and why you're here, and you share that with the marketplace, the world is your oyster. The world is your oyster. And it took me a year to stumble and fumble through that without any coaching or direction. That's why I coach on it now, because most coaches don't coach on that. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. Okay, so we want to talk about your business goals. This is still step 1 of mindset. Do you write down your goals every day? Do you review that mission statement or your vision statement every day, where you see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months or even 6 to 12 years? Do you think big picture, long game, or do you think, oh my God, I have to make money right now, which is scarcity, poverty mindset? I'm just being real with you. And trust me, I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, but it's so much more exciting to create a vision for yourself. It's been said that if you don't have a vision, you'll perish. That's why most businesses, small businesses, close within 2 years of starting, because They don't have a 2-year vision. They don't even have a 6-month vision. So what's your primary business goal for the next 6 to 12 months? I want you to write it down. You don't have to put it in the chat. If you want to, though, feel free. What is your monthly income goal? Do you want to be at $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $5,000 a week, whatever? Write it down. Write it down. So you could say 6 months from now is September 10th, or 1 year from now, March 10th, 2023. Write that down. What do you want to be making either monthly or annually? This helps you figure out the pricing for your offers. It also helps us with your lead generation plan and how many calls or how many sales, whatever you do to close people, all of that. Then not just look out to 1 year, and you could put things in there like, write this down in your notebook. How many clients per month do you want to be serving? Have you written that down? Have you reflected on that? Are you visualizing those number of clients? I write down every day how many new clients I want every day. If you build it, they will come. That's part of magnetizing, attracting, manifestation, whatever you call it. Do you want to have an email list? How big? Write that down. A year from now, how much time off do you want? I definitely want to be taking 12 weeks off still by the end of this year. That's my end of 2022 goal. I already have a plan for 1 week off in April, spring break, a month off this summer, a month off around Christmas. Do you have a plan for that? Are you factoring that in? Maybe that's not for you. I'm just saying maybe it's a 5-year goal. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to have a 16-hour work week? Write that down. We got about 4 minutes to the halfway point. So if you have questions, drop them in the Q&A feature. I know I'm excited about a 16-hour work week. I originally had that for the end of this year, and I still think it's possible, but I'm definitely going to knock it out of the park in my 5-year plan. By the end of 2027, if not 2026, I will be surrounded by a dream team of professionals and working in my genius zone only, by the way, 16 hours a week. Do you want to franchise your business? Do you want to have a huge team? Do you want to... And then if you want, you can throw in 10 years. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? I help people write this vision when they work with me, and it changes people's lives when they start doing this. It's a part of dreaming. It gets your third eye, your intuition, your heart engaged. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And of course, family, spiritual, financial, you can put all of those things down. So I want you to do that exercise, continue that on after today, because we got to keep going. And then, of course, this is really, really important. Really, really important to me that I just wanted you to think about this. How much can you start outsourcing this year? I will tell you the good news. Everything that I'm going to talk about in the lead generation component here, the system that I do teach to my clients, is duplicatable. So you can hire virtual assistants. I have 2 virtual assistant teams, and they're contract. They're not full-time. That helped me with probably, I'd say, 80% of my lead generation. 80%. That's how I'm able to work way less. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was probably working 50, 60 hours a week. Now I might be doing 30, depending on the week. So is that a goal inside your business this year? Do you want to outsource and duplicate your lead generation? And I'm not talking about hiring someone for Facebook ads, none of that. Everything that I teach is permission-based and can make you more money in less time, and can be so simple that, you know, if you have an 8 or 9 or 10 or 12-year-old, they can probably do it for you. Put them to work, right? And then, of course, what is the number one item or offer that you are selling to get to that 10 to 20K month? I don't know if anybody's ever thought about that. And I know it's different because we have insurance people in here. We have video production people. We have network marketing. But this is more for you coaches, healers, digital offer creators, course creators. We really recommend that you focus on one core offer in order to get to that 10 to 20K month. And even if you are a network marketing person, I was a network marketing, a top salesperson, top recruiter for a mushroom coffee based MLM. And we led with coffee. Did we have other stuff? Absolutely. But there's riches and niches, and you can't chase too many rabbits. You've probably heard that before. So I put that out there so that you guys make sure, I'm very passionate about this, that you're not over committing and you don't look like a jack of all trades. That's my last soapbox item for the day, is there's so many people out there selling something different every month, and it's very confusing. Confusion doesn't sell. Confusion doesn't sell. I don't see any questions. Just so you know, we're right at the halfway point. This is if you needed to go to the bathroom, maybe an opportunity to do a quick bathroom break. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep on going, because I don't see any questions in the Q&A feature. So if you guys are ready to rock and roll, let's keep going. Once we have all of that mindset stuff, and you're clear on who you're serving, where you're finding them, what you're leading them to, what is your core offering, you also got to remember to strive for progress, not perfection. Striving for progress, not perfection. This is something, this goes back to what I talked about being a perfectionist. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And so a lot of people think they have to have everything perfect right before, but if you set 3 goals every week, personal goals, 3 professional goals, have someone help you from an accountability standpoint. So like who's holding you accountable to your goals and dreams? I couldn't have done what I did in any of my careers without coaching and mentorship. In fact, I actually made way more money by hiring a coach in 2020 and 2021 than I did just relying on free mentorship. Gotta be honest with you. Coaching and spending money and having that accountability changed my life. I was left to my own devices. Even with 20 years of sales and lead generation experience, you guys, I probably would have gotten a job and worked for something else. It's true. It's not fun to admit, but it's true. Because I had a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of pressure on myself. So who's going to help you see your blind spots? And it doesn't have to be me, but please hire a coach. Don't just rely on free mentorship. Then remember, discipline and new habits take 66 days to develop, because you're rewiring those neural pathways in the brain. We have a higher brain and a lower brain. We have the frontal, cortex, prefrontal cortex, which is our logic, our reasoning. Then we have that lower brain that says, you're afraid, you don't deserve it. Let's just skip lead generation today. And that's why people either stay broke or have more month at the end of money, and they're just not consistent because they haven't spent 66 days. So set those goals every week. Don't try to climb the mountain in one day. I coached marathoners, and it was always a 16-week training program. Always a 16-week training program, which included, the foundation, and it included the recovery time. So it was almost like the 12-week year, which is what we're going to talk about next. I do see, Grace, you had a question, so I will answer that since it's just over halfway, and I don't see didn't have any other questions. So you help business owners get more referrals from their previous customers by giving them a free gift that may result in more referrals, goodwills, and positive testimonials by helping them. There's a lot in there. There's too much. And there isn't like a quantifiable end result. Like, I don't know if you can quantify it a little bit more. But I feel like it's a good start. It's a good start. And maybe if you want to, because I can't do individual one-on-one coaching here. If you wanted to, you can book a call with me and we can do a quantum leap strategy session on that question. It's a good start. So just remember, so today's like March 10th. So March to April, May, June. If you haven't been consistent with a lead generation strategy or sharing your marketing message, the mission statement that we just wrote, it's going to take you 66 days or more to develop that new habit. So as I always like to say, less is more. Just set really small, I call them big rocks, but they're still small goals, only 3 every week. And one of them's got to be a lead generation goal and a very, very specific and measurable, which is what we're going to do in step 3. So let's keep going. Number 2, how do you spend your time? How do you choose to spend your time? Are you a master steward of your time and energy, or do you waste a lot of time? Do you have a lot of time wasted throughout the day? So we're all given the same 24 hours in a day, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, haha, but why do some people create more in life than most? Because I want to get to the steps 3 and 4. You got to have structure and balance in your day. So annualized New Year's resolutions don't work. The 12-week year, however, is a less is more approach. Just like I said, 66 days to take something to, really focus on it, to start to master it, just to start. So if you haven't read this book, I am certified in it. This is my mentor, the author, Brian P. Moran. Read this book and apply it. It changed my life. It helped me. I read it during my network marketing career, and literally from not doing so well, I was able to dominate using the 12-week year. I qualified for the company car. I won all the trips. I was the number 2 recruiter in the world. I recruited like 70 people that year. And it all started by implementing the 12-week year, rewiring those neural pathways, the less is more approach. So I want you to look back on your notes right now. This is a crash course in the 12-week year, because you've really got to read the book and implement it. A lot of people have read the book, but not taken action and applied it. And that's why they're not maybe getting to the results that they want, right? Because you're overcommitting, you're doing too much. So in the 12-week year, going back to your goals, what did you write down for your 6-month goal or your 12-month goal? I want you to look at that right now. This is why I had you do that earlier. Now I want you to take 2 business goals and 2 personal goals. I'm going to give you some examples, but just pick 2 business and 2 personal. If you want to, you can go 2 business and 1 personal, and go all in. And if you don't have a lead generation strategy, then that's in step number 3 that we're going to do next. That's where you're going to spend your time, probably with one of them, and go all in, applying the 12-week year principles. So what is possible when less is more? Here's some quick examples that you might consider that I did and or I've coached people to do. 2 12-week years to take the time and the focus to build an email list from 0 to 5,000 in 2 12-week years. I had a client double their income actually in 60 days. So just in 1 12-week year, because she over committed before. Now she undercommitted and went all in, and she doubled her income in just 60 days. Client hit their first 10K month in 2 12-week years. Maybe that's a goal. Someone hit their first, actually this was me. I hit my first 5-figure month in 4 months. So it happened in the second 12-week year. Then I hit my first multiple 5-figure month by month 9, 3 12-week years. Launched a top 20 podcast in 5 weeks. So the first 12-week year. Building a 1,000-member Facebook group. These are examples for you to play with. I even had someone who had a personal goal. They bought their first home after they were able to quadruple their sales. So again, write down, what business goals do you want to create for the next 12 weeks that support your 6-month goal or your 12-month goal. And if you want, drop it in the chat. I'm going to give you a minute to write this down. And of course, personal can be spiritual, mental, physical, financial. It can be relationship. It's really important to me that you have the personal element as well. So what are you willing to go all in on? Do you want to build your email list? Do you want to build your lead generation strategy and master it in the next 12-week years? Which again is 90 days or a quarter. We're already in the third month of the first quarter. It's almost done. There's less than, well, there's 20 days left in the month if you count weekends. So go all in. And then here's actually a testimonial with the gal who bought her first home. And it was because she applied the principles of the 12-week year in 3 back-to-back 12-week years and was able to pay down debt, qualify for the mortgage, find the perfect home. And that was like right at the beginning of the pandemic, actually. It was in 2020 that she did that. So remember, your career can help you accomplish so much in your personal life. Less is more. So really quickly, how you spend your days also is going to impact how you spend your weeks and your months. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but it's really important for you to make sure you set healthy boundaries. And the cool thing is when you track your time, I have a daily compass document. If some of you guys probably saw that in the email preparing you for this class. If you don't know what that is, that's the daily time budget sheet. That helps you also inspect what you expect. You write down everything you're going to do that day. And then at the end of the day, you reflect on it and ask yourself, did I run my day or did my day run me? Jim Rohn, right? He said that. One of my favorite mentors of all time in sales when I was in my 20s. I was lucky to have him and Zig Ziglar to learn from. Asking yourself, did I get distracted today? Did I overcommit today? Did I say I wanted to get like 5 things done and I only got 1 or 2? And if you keep doing that every day, there's a pattern. You can start inspecting it. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, gosh, I think I might be overcommitting. Maybe I got to spend more time on my lead generation and less time on, insert time waster here. Do you have healthy boundaries? Do you turn your notifications off, or do you live on Facebook? Do you have apps on your phone that constantly are dinging and making noises? That's not a healthy boundary. That's very unhealthy and very toxic for your central nervous system to constantly be hitting notification after notification. Texting is one of the worst things actually to distract you, believe it or not. So check in with that. And again, if you need help, you can reach out to me for my free time use sheet. Now, having an ideal work week is really important. Having an ideal work week is really, really important. So what does that look like for you? Do you have time blocks every week that are consistent to support your income goals and your time management goals? So this is something that you can do on part of your time budget and measuring your time, but checking in. Do you book time for appointments? Do you book time for lead generation? And do you have it scheduled every single week? Do you have it scheduled every single week? So this is inside of the 12-week year. Don't need to do that right now. So this is an example of what they teach and what I coach on inside of the 12-week year. So make sure you have your prospecting on your calendar every week. Your admin time, your buffer blocks. Those are the times where you check your email, you check your notifications, you check your text messages, you do return phone calls, so on and so forth. And do you already, if you build it, they will come. Do you have time slots where you put on your calendar where people can book appointments with you? Do you have your booking link set up and structured in a way so that people know when you're available? Now, I know we've got 30 minutes left. We're in the home stretch, so if you need to stretch, do that. But just hang tight with me, because this is what I know a lot of you are wanting to create from this class. And I go over steps 1 and 2. It took them the biggest chunk of time because that's where most people are failing. That's where most people are not focusing on what needs to be done. Because lead generation only takes, believe it or not, 30 to 60 minutes a day, depending on your goals. I did 2 hours at the beginning of the pandemic because I didn't know about this online world. 2 hours a day was my intentional daily lead generation time. So this is part of my Koffi Sales Formula, and you've got your time blocked. Now, how are you going to spend it? Every sales process starts with daily lead generation. I give a shout out to Eric Lawful. He's the one who taught me about the sales mountain. But in real estate, I learned that every lead I had to generate a conversation that said, hey, I was a realtor. I'd love to be a real estate consultant for life. How can I help you? Then I had to build trust and rapport. I had to have appointments. I had to have a way to follow up. So that's step number 4. So one of the things that I did, and I encourage everyone to have something online. Doesn't have to be a website, doesn't have to be, super expensive, doesn't have to be a podcast. I did do that. But how are you looking credible? It could even just be your LinkedIn profile. It could even just be that. That could be one of your goals that I talked about. One of your business goals is how are you connecting and or finding people online and connecting with your audience in the marketplace to making yourself look visible and credible. Because everyone will check you out online. I had a lot of people stalk my YouTube channel at the beginning of the pandemic because they wanted to see if I was the real deal. So as one of your 12-week year goals, write this down. What is your one thing that you're going to do this quarter? Now, I know like Harumi, you were talking about, how to attract leads. Well, first of all, you got to make yourself attractive. You got to be seen as an expert and an authority. Like this quote here, I want to be your favorite hello and your hardest goodbye. You got to, like, how to win friends and influence people is you've got to have a presence. And so what I did to build my email list from 0 to 5,000 at the beginning of the pandemic was I did 12 webinars. So my first 12-week year was a webinar every week for 12 weeks. That built my email list from 0 to 2,000. That was my what. That was my what of my value, the webinar. And then I was able to repurpose it. I can help you with this. In order to repurpose that webinar, I was able to put it into my YouTube channel so that people saw that I was legit. So maybe you can do webinars that you repurpose into your YouTube channel. And then guess what I did? I was able to build my email list simultaneously. So pick one thing, and go all in on it. To be building an audience, to be building your presence, and to be sharing your mission statement, the USP that we worked on in the first hour. You have that, this just flows so much easier. Because it's like you're putting your flag out there saying, hey, this is who I am. This is my megaphone. This is what I do. And this is how you can learn from me, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's a joint venture, kind of like referral lead generation type thing. Maybe you start a blog. You could publish an ebook for really cheap by going to fiverr.com. You could launch a podcast. That was my second thing that I did after webinars. Then I used my podcast to build my email list to 5,000 3 months later. And like I said, if you're overwhelmed right now, just use LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn. And yes, I saw someone put questions in the Q&A. That is the perfect place to go right now. Next, you can start putting your questions in the Q&A because we probably got about another 12 minutes of coaching. And I hope you're writing furiously. Because every step of the way I've given you things that you've got to be writing down and getting ready to execute. The next step is after you have this commitment, go all in as one of your 12-week year goals. Your less is more goals. Don't try to do a podcast and Facebook and LinkedIn and webinars. How many new contacts a day will you reach out to? And I said, lead generation, it only takes 30 to 60 minutes a day. I do that with my members inside my membership every week. We have a class almost every week where we do this together live. 5 people a day. You can find 5 people a day, either in your phone to invite to your webinar. You can find 5 people a day, maybe on Facebook, to invite to subscribe to your YouTube channel. You can invite 5 people a day to tune into your podcast. I know Derica has a podcast. I've seen some, I don't know who is all here, but I've seen some of your names pop up. So I recommend 5 prospects a day where you're going out and sharing your mission statement, having a conversation, being a human, not a robot, just plastering, things that are links and sign up for my thing and all of that kind of stuff. I did do that. I made that mistake. I was so excited to share my stuff, but then I recognized people were doing that to me and it did feel so good. And even when you're calling people, you can call 5 people in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on if you get them, and invite them to learn about your business, to check out your YouTube channel. And then, of course, if you, step number 2 on there is if you want to build an email list, because I do coach on this, I have a course on it. How many people do you want to have opt in? Because it's nice to talk to people, but how many of them are actually opting into your webinar, your podcast, and you can't just post stuff on Facebook or LinkedIn and hope people are just going to magically appear on a sales call with you. That's where the follow-up comes up. So make sure you schedule time every day or at least 3 days a week. And I usually recommend 5 hours a week. So for me, it's easier to do 1 hour a day because of my schedule. That would be my recommendation, and having 5 minimum. So 5 people a day times 20 days a month, that's 100 leads a month. People, like, when they hear me say you can generate 100, 400 lead conversations a month, they freak out on me. And I'm like, well, there's a reason that you got to talk to that many people, because 6 to 7 no's to get a yes. And I forgot I had this slide in here, guys. So I'm just going to quickly remind you, when I was referring to reaching out to people and having a connection, asking first, how's your family? How's business? There are schools of thought out there to do scripts, and I do work with people on scripting during our membership class. But be a human first. I had my brother die right at the beginning of the pandemic, and this guy kept hitting me up with messages. He didn't even ask me how I was doing. He didn't ask me about anything. He just said, "Hey, look at my opportunity. You'd be great at this. You'll make so much money, blah, 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 blah." He sent me 3 messages before I finally just blocked him, because I was grieving. I was going through a lot. And that's why I mentioned this to you guys, is just don't be that guy or gal who is just pushing on people. Ask about their family, ask about their work, ask them, what did you do this past weekend? Or what are you looking forward to this coming weekend? Or, hey, what are you most excited about? What is your mission statement? What message are you bringing to the world? That's what the M stands for. And if you can, talk to people like a human and let them see how much you really genuinely care about them, oh my gosh, that's when the doors will blow wide open for you, as opposed to just hitting them up with a link or a script. So now that I reminded us of that, 100 leads a month, why is that such a great number? I love simple math. So, and I help people, again, get to $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. Again, it depends on your product or service. But if you talk to 100 people a month, like clockwork, even if it's just 100 a month over 12 months, that's 1,200 people. What if you followed up with them with excellence, and 10 to 20% of those leads followed up with would buy from you? If you take 10 or even 20 times whatever price point you have, let's say you have a $500 program, offer, coaching, whatever, times 10 of those 100. And again, maybe not in month 1, but month 2, we're going to talk about your follow-up plan here in a second. If you haven't already started here, this is where you need to start. So I know like Harumi and those guys, you're already in my membership. This is what you do every day. Every month, rather. Sorry, not 100 every day. By being able to be intentional and collecting those conversations, those relationships, those leads, and then asking for business and or asking for referrals to be known as the expert in your field or industry is actually worth a lot. You can make so much money if you go for 100 a month. And if that's too overwhelming for you, start with 2 a day times 20. That's 40 a month. Write that down. Whatever resonates with your spirit. I have a system that works for me. You got to find the system that works for you. But 5 a day is really sweet. 2 a day is fine as well. So then once you get kind of excited by that. Does that excite anybody? Anybody here excited by that idea of being able to simplify this and realize, oh my gosh, I can do that. That's doable. It might be doable hard at first. Remember, 66 days to rewire those neural pathways. If you stop and start and stop and start your car, your engine will break down. If you stop and start and stop and start your workout routine, you'll break down. If you stop and start and stop and start your lead generation routine, your business will break down. So here's a deal, one of my favorite testimonials. He took my 5-day lead gen and sales mastery challenge to challenge him to generate 100 leads in 5 days. Now, I talk about a month, but he was able to do 147 leads in 5 days. And he implemented this framework that I shared with you today. He attended something similar to this, but it was a 5-day challenge. So it was 1 hour a day for 5 days. That's included in my membership, by the way. And he was able to generate 147. So he's a great testimonial about it's very possible, because he was spending 5 hours a day online. And now he went less than 2 hours a day and is having more time for his beautiful family, more money than ever before in less time. So if he could do it, you can do it. So I used, again, this was an example. I used my podcast and my webinars as my number one tool. Again, in summary, what is yours? If you haven't written it down, write it down, drop it in the chat. Are you going to do a webinars? Are you going to do a Facebook group? Are you just simply going to start an email list? Inside of my 5-day challenge, I give you scripts for all of this. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So now that you have your daily lead generation plan, you've blocked your time for it. So again, hopefully you've been following along and writing down, what is your daily goal for leads? How many conversations? When are you going to have those conversations? What are you taking them to? That was the other business goal. Is it a podcast? Is it a email list? Is it a webinar? Everybody is unique in this. I'm not saying there's a one size fits all. You got to write it down and commit to it. Then how are you going to follow up with them? Do you have an email campaign? How are you staying visible, credible, and keeping track of all these leads? Now, if you've been working with me, you know I have a tracking sheet for this also, because 80% of the sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. And I know some people have questioned these stats, but here's the deal. I've sold real estate, I've sold coffee, I've sold fitness, I've sold for other organizations, and this is almost gospel for everything I've ever sold, coaching as well. Especially if you have something that's more high ticket or high trust, like financial advisors. That's where it goes back to, you got to have that USP and that mission statement and your mindset very clear on your uniqueness and what sets you apart. And you got to follow up, right? Most people don't follow up with prospects after 1 or 2 times, and they're leaving so much money on the table, right? So you got to have what I recommend. If you notice on that last slide, the stats, 80% of the sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Most of my sales, recruiting, whatever, if I met someone that was a total stranger and I followed my own system that I've been teaching you, guess what? I could close them or get referrals from them within 60 days or less. I can teach you how to do that too. But you got to do the work. You got to have the plan. Doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, progress over perfection. So write down right now how many ways you like to communicate with people. Is it email campaign? It doesn't have to be a campaign. It could even just be an email. Write down, do you like to do phone calls? Do you like to do text messages? Do you like to do direct message on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Everything that I teach is duplicatable, by the way, on all of those platforms. I don't know much about Twitter, though. I should take that back. Instagram, yes. Twitter, not so sure, because it's different. But everything I'm teaching you applies to offline and online. But I'm definitely, my space is more Facebook and LinkedIn. So write down all of your favorite ways. And your homework will be, but you can use this as a template. I'm going to share with you my favorite balance. My favorite is to get them into a welcome campaign, have them see my name 5 times. I don't even really honestly care if they read the email or not. I'm teaching them to get used to my emails. I'm teaching them to get used to seeing my name. And every time they see Lois, and if I do it right, they'll think of sales training, coaching, 12-week year, all of my formula. 5 emails, 1 phone call if I have their phone number. And sometimes it doesn't always work into my schedule. So at the very least, the other 2 to 3 will be Facebook messages or LinkedIn messages. And often inside of those, there's invitations to a webinar like this. Oftentimes there's an invitation to check out my podcast. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. If you haven't built any of this of what we're working on today, it's going to take you a 12-week year or 2. That's why I say I work with people 6 to 9 months to get that momentum. I was like right here, if you can see my hand, there's the J curve where you all of a sudden just rocket launch up. My first 12-week year, I was laying the foundational bricks. I was testing this. I was testing step number 3. I was testing how many leads a day, how much time it took. I was working on my mindset every day, just summarizing my 4 steps and why I did them daily to get to 20K months and beyond and stay there. So having this, you're going to want to test this also for the next 12 weeks. Tweak and test and refine. And that's where earlier, if you saw on that slide where I talked about your lead generation plan every day, you also want to schedule some time for follow-up. Now, in my membership class, which you'll hear about shortly, I teach you how to schedule that in and what that looks like. And how, if you sign up for my membership, we work on that within the program. But you want to be able to schedule that follow-up time to make sure you follow up with them. Are they going to get into your email list? Are they going to check out your podcast? Are they going to jump on a sales call with you? And then based on results, you can edit and refine and tweak this. I've had different clients, including myself, had so many different reiterations of this, but they were focused on progress over perfection and measuring and tracking their results. So hopefully you can see the value in having an 8-step process. So whatever you just wrote down, your homework to take action on today is to start tracking those leads that you talk to, whether it's 2 a day, 5 a day, and then what are you leading them to? How are you following up? I'm going to move on to the next slide if it would let me. And I've mentioned this in summary, and please put your questions in the Q&A chat. I'm almost done here, guys. Progress over perfection. Yesterday ended last night. If you had a bad day, if you had an argument, if you got a lot of no's, if maybe you were like me in January, you had COVID, and then in February you had all these digestive issues post-COVID. So I was freaking out, went to urgent care. Life is always happening around. If I didn't have a progress over perfection mindset, guys, I wouldn't be here right now teaching you what I learned through the last 2 years and, of course, the last 22 years. So what action will you take next? I want you to write this down. Will you write your belief statement? You can come back and watch this recording because, like I said, this could be, and I will actually charge and do workshops on this in the future. This is a journey, and you got to go and apply these 4 steps daily for the next 12 weeks minimum in order to see lasting change, to start to see lasting change. So are you going to write your belief statement today? Are you going to share it openly on your LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile? Are you going to put it on your marketing landing pages? How will you focus your time use every day? Will you hire a coach or work with me inside my membership, maybe where I can help you hold you accountable to these 4 steps? Will you read the 12-week year? That's a great book. You just got to apply it. Not just read it, take action on it, apply it. Will you read the You're Not Broken and start to recode your superconscious? I'll be certified on that hopefully by end of spring. So I'll be adding that into my program. In fact, for those of you who are already paid members, I'm going to start adding classes on that in mid to late April. So I can help you practice and implement the recoding of your superconscious every day, because that is going to make you so much more money, magnetize those clients so much faster. Will you create that follow-up system? Will you commit to setting daily intentions with your lead generation? Because here's the thing. I want you to take a good 20 seconds, if not now, later, and actually sit with, Because a lot of people will attend these webinars, and I've done it too, and not take action, not develop a plan and follow up with it. And this is what inaction will cost you. Less time with your family and friends, you'll burn out, health challenges, working all the time. That was me. Decreased income, increased stress, which then goes back up to the health challenges. You're going to feel another year older and you're like, where did that year go? I had these New Year's resolutions, but they didn't happen. And ultimately, you'll feel like your dreams are becoming more and more elusive because you probably overcommitted and were so overwhelmed that you didn't take action. So I always like to say at the end of these, you have two options. Option number one, you can go it alone, which is slower, fuller of mistakes, expensive, painful. Trust me, I did that. And I made less, like half of the money that I started to make in 2020 because I tried to do it alone. You'd feel like Bill Murray on Groundhog Day. Every day he got up and went through the same process. And of course he learned, but it was really painful. Really painful. Or you can go at it together where it can be faster, fewer mistakes, much cheaper, fun, and we're going to have a blast, you guys. I can't even tell you how excited I am about my membership program. Bringing in 1,000 people by the end of the year, like-minded go-givers like you guys who are humble, trusting their instincts, and taking action. Not jumping from course to course, thing to thing, program to program, product to product. Being intentional, purpose-driven, because no one succeeds alone in this life. I will tell you that. So I have an offer today, and if you have questions about this, you can put it in the Q&A as well, and then I'm ready to get you going and go forth and prosper. But I have a 48-hour special till Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. It's 1 year of my Koffi Sales Formula Inner Circle Sales Training membership. Which includes 3 to 4 hours a month of live lead generation, mindset, time blocking training, daily compass and prospecting sheet training, and actually rolling up our sleeves and generating leads together. I actually generated probably 5 leads yesterday during our time, and I was able to message and reach out to 28 people. During that time, I know we have other people who booked sales calls. We had other people who actually got on sales calls and couldn't be here today. And I said, that's brilliant. And that's a $2,900 value by itself. I'll also give you access to my member vaults and all of my training tools, the lead gen and sales mastery program that I was talking about, where a deal generated 147 leads in 5 days. And I'm going to be adding more coaches and more topics and more mentors, more people that are going to come in and train you on other things inside of that membership. I'm also going to have my monthly referral global speed networking events. Right now we have 1, but it's going to probably jump up to 2 as early as April or May. So I can teach you how to generate leads using your mission statement, your USP that we wrote today. You're going to use that inside of the breakout rooms, generating leads from all over the world. And we're going to have tons of fun. My goal is to have a weekly one of those by summer. And of course, you'll be a part of this growing 1,000+ member Facebook community that I'm putting it out there. I have a vision. I have a plan. I'm leading by example. So you can be a part of that community. So I have a really cool special today. I actually decided to do a 50% off sale that expires. And actually, I love the number 8. I love infinity, to infinity and beyond. So if you sign up for it, and it's valued at about $4,000, you sign up by Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's only $888.88, by the way, $888.88. I wrote the wrong number on there. First 3 that sign up, and I'll look at the timestamp, you'll also get a $2,000 gift to be in my small group coaching class. So we meet every Tuesday with that class. The membership classes right now are most Wednesdays, just so you kind of know the timing. And they're all in the first half of the day. So we can have people from anywhere from here to India join us. So that'll be a lot of fun. So the first 3 of you are going to get a bonus $2,000 gift for free for just that $888.88. So you go to loiskoffi.com/membership. loiskoffi.com/membership, and you'll be able to sign up for that. I'll also drop the link in the chat. So right now, and if you have any questions about that, drop them in the chat. I want to answer the questions that are already in the Q&A. And then any other questions you might have that have come up as a result, and then I will drop the membership special in the chat, the sales page. And I believe there's also a monthly fee, and I think I'm doing 50% off on that as well. So double check. If you click on that link, it should show you the pricing. Click on the order forms and let me know if you don't see it. Let me know. When you built your list, did you have your first course already built? No, that's the best part. Elizabeth, that's a beautiful question. Progress over perfection. Remember, I talked about that. If I had waited for my first course to already be built before I built my list, I don't think we'd be here right now. So what I did was maniac on a mission, ignorance on fire, right? Is I had no list, no podcast, no courses. In fact, I had a really crappy offer. I have one of my programs, we actually help you build your offer and a lead generation plan. That I'm not talking about that today, but I see a lot of people thinking they have to have the perfect offer before they build their list. And it's such a lie. It's not needed. It's not true. Lead generation and daily connections with people is how you start, right? Your offer does not have to be perfect. Your course doesn't even have to be done. The daily lead generation is the most important thing. And that's the biggest thing people miss. So I didn't even have a course. I started, it was April of 2020. I didn't even have a course until September. And September was my first $10,000 month. So don't overthink this. Do everything I said today and start. And if you're like, well, why didn't you have a course, this, that, or the other? I offered up one-on-one coaching. I had my weekly webinars, which then turned into a course later. I was testing the marketplace and getting feedback on what people thought about what I had to share. And that's actually how I hit my first 10K month, was I invited them to a program. I didn't have like even a digital course. It was all live group coaching. So I hope that answered your question, Elizabeth. When you say get 5 a day, do you mean reach out to 5 or actually get those 5 on your list? Sometimes it's both. The focus more on the reaching out. That's why on that lead generation page, I said, how many people will you reach out to per day? How many opt-ins will you get? Again, I teach you all of this inside the membership and the member vault and the lead gen and mastery course. So just keep coming, Elizabeth. I know you're in there. Take that lead gen and mastery course training. Do that. I had that course. That was, I think, almost a whole year later, I had that course created. I started with small group coaching. I did a beta group. But keep in mind, that was after I laid the first 12-week year foundation of content, lead generating conversations, 2,000 of them, which led me to my first 4-figure month, actually. And then 2 months later, my first 5-figure month, so on and so forth. So keep coming to class, Elizabeth. Next Wednesday, we can talk about that as well. You've been posting 5 days a week in LinkedIn, Andrea, for 6 months and have not gotten one lead. Yeah, posts don't do much. They don't. They don't. Posts are great to get some exposure. And inside of my lead gen and mastery course, Andrea, that's inside the membership, you actually have, it teaches you how to, I call them bait posts. This is actually something my coach taught me that I hired. Very worthwhile. And being able to give value, but then how do you get conversations from those posts? We didn't go over that today. That could be a class all in itself, and it is if you sign up for the membership and join that. But posts are fine for visibility, but how are you following up with them? How are you getting people either to come to your webinar, your Facebook group, your email list? How are you giving value and then following through, probably in conversations in the private messenger? Those are key. So yeah, I do know a lot of people think they go and hire a social media company. I even hired a social media company. Didn't do anything for me. I figured out, and now coaching in the system, if you go and post and you're generating interest, you're piquing interest, and then anybody that likes or comments on it, then you go and have a conversation with them privately and see if there's a way that doing that dance of booking that appointment, building that trust and rapport, forming that relationship in the DMs, the direct message, if you don't know what that means, and then being able to follow up and get them to, again, go to one of your, whatever your thing is, whatever your thing is. Again, is it an email list? Is it your Facebook group where you're building a tribe, building community? Is it webinars where you're giving a lot of education and knowledge and wisdom? And again, going back to what was your unique selling proposition? What's in it for them? What's in it for them? Those, the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. Are you succinct enough on your profiles, on your websites, and even in your conversations with people to draw them in and to get them to fall in love with you, right? So I wanted to close because I don't see any other questions. This is the time, and it's 10:30, but I am willing to go a little bit longer if there's other questions. I see one now. After starting a conversation, dance with them, then talk about business. Yep, that's all part of the process. Oops, sorry. That was my timer just answering. Absolutely. When you do the dance and you have the conversation with them, you are also determining if they have a need that you can fill, if you have an opportunity to even help them. And again, that goes back to what is your what? Are you doing a webinar? Are you building a Facebook group where you educate them on your product or service and actually building, that community? You're actually building that community that then they'll stay and want to be a part of what you have to offer because you're very clear on your mission statement. You're very clear on your message. Did I answer that? Hold on a second. I just wanted to throw, but if they still don't have a need, yes. Thanks, Harumi. 100%. 100%. Yes. If they don't have a need, they might know someone because you treated them like a human. And if you go back to my slide, I was going to show you two slides because I thought, how do you connect with Grace? Also asked the question. I was just going to show you that slide, Grace, and then I'll go back to the other slide just to maybe hit it home one last time. But and actually, Grace, I'll show this to you now. If you want to call, if you haven't already had a Quantum Leap strategy session with me to take whatever you learned today and put it on steroids, go to www.bookacallwithlois.com. I'll drop that in the chat as well. And if you want the slides, I want you to connect with me on LinkedIn, leave a review, and I'll email you the slides probably by Monday. Okay. Just depending on what happens in the next 24 hours. I have family coming in town, but www.bookacallwithlois.com. And then we'll do that Quantum Leap strategy session. And of course, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to build that lead generation system. I can't do it by myself. I don't have a coach who's going to help me. Please go to loiskoffi.com/membership. And sign up, save the $888, be one of the first 3, and you'll get $2,000 in small group coaching and being a part of that class, and be a part of a movement of really building a business with excellence that you could sell later on, and be able to live and have that time freedom that I know everybody says they want. But it's often really hard to find if you don't have the right systems and accountability to get there. So back to what Harumi was talking about. Yes, if you notice on here, and I mentioned it, oops, sorry, that didn't work. If you notice on the 8x8 system, part of what I always tell people is not everyone can be your client. In fact, 90% of the people you talk to probably won't be your client. That's why I say you talk to 100 people a month. 90 of them may not want to buy from you anytime soon. And guess what? That's normal. That's okay. It takes 6 to 7 no's to get a yes. It takes 5 to 12 follow-ups with that same person to potentially get a yes, right? But they have referrals. Even if you guys didn't sign up for my program, I covet your referrals and I pay really well for referrals. I paid out $2,000 last month to people, and I'm forgetting if it was 2 or 3 people. So that was a nice payday for those 2 or 3 people by simply giving me referrals. You know, referral affiliate income is really sweet inbox money, and all you had to do is make a connection, and you'll be that new best friend of that person that you introduced that person to as well, because you'll have given them hope and a future. Because again, there's almost no one out there that's coaching how I'm coaching and getting people to get that consistent daily lead generation and follow-up system, which again takes you 6 to 9 months to really knock out of the park. Most people try it for a week or 2 and then they quit, and then that's why they're 1 year later in the exact same place they were a year before. So at the end of here, it says, if you can't find a need and fill it for them, ask for referrals. Ask and say, how can we stay in touch? Can I be your guy or gal who insert your profession here? I'm your expert on health, or I'm your expert on sales, or I'm your expert on finances. I'm your expert on insert what your unique selling proposition is there. Wonderful. Awesome. Okay, hold on a second. You said, okay, I answered Grace's question. These are the last questions, and then I'm going to wrap it up. No, I'll answer you now, Leslie. That's a great question. If an existing member does the 888, it's a special to replace the next 12 months, you can do that, 100%. And can one pick up on the grandfathered price? Yes. So that's a great question, actually, because as I'm adding more value, the price is going to go up. It's $197 a month. But I think I have, if you can double check, I think I may have 50% off also on that if you do the month-to-month plan. Please keep me honest. Click on the links, the order forms. I just put the order form in for the promo, the special. Remember, the first 3 people, you also get a one-on-one session with me, and you get the small group coaching. So it's a no-brainer, and you have to do the year membership in order to qualify for those things. But you will stay at the grandfathered price. You'll stay a year from now if you haven't decided that you're tired of me. You'll still get to pay that grandfathered price. You'll never raise the price again. It'll stay there even a year from now. And by then it'll be a lot more, because I'm going to be adding all sorts of other people, other coaches on mindset, time management, really building a huge community, supporting you with all angles of lead generation too, not just my own at some point down the road. So yeah, it'll go up in price. So I hope I answered your question, Leslie. Yeah, Phil, as long as you're on LinkedIn, just as a reminder, thanks, Leslie. I love you too. As a reminder, the slides, you only get them if you leave a review for me on LinkedIn. Or you know what? I guess if you're not on LinkedIn, first of all, you got to get on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. The only way you can get the slides is you got to send me a request on LinkedIn. If we're not already connected, just look for Lois Koffi on LinkedIn. Then send me a message also. Send me a connection message, and I will help you write the review, and then I'll get you the slides. But you got to do it by tomorrow, so then I can follow up with you by Monday. And then if you're not on LinkedIn and it's easier for you to write a review on Lois Koffi Enterprises on Facebook, I'm cool with that. So like my fan page on Lois Koffi Enterprises on Facebook, or make sure we're connected on LinkedIn. You're going to want to do a screenshot probably of the review on Lois Koffi Enterprises and send it to me in a private message on Facebook Messenger by tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and I'll honor the slides as well. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I'm so proud. Honored to have you guys stay here this whole time. Remember, what you do next is what matters. What you take action on next is what matters. So I would book some time, an hour tomorrow, or even this weekend. Watch this again. The recording will be up and going today, and send it out to you. So I'll email it to you guys, and or you can request it from Chad, who's been so helpful in the DMs and Facebook and LinkedIn. And then, of course, look forward to supporting you guys inside the membership. It's going to be so much fun, and appreciate you guys making an investment of time today with me. And I look forward to having these in the future. So I hope I'm actually going to do one more thing. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking the membership, because my virtual assistants are working diligently on the membership and what's all included. Okay, you know what? They didn't complete the 50% off on the month to month offer. So if anybody wants to do that, shoot me an email at Lois at loiskoffi.com, because right now it's $197 a month to month. But for those of you who are still attending here right now, if you email me, this is your reward. If you email me, Lois at loiskoffi.com, and say, hey, I can't swing the annual membership right now, even though, gosh, it's going to save you so much money and give you so much more value. However, if you email me at lois@loiskoffi.com, and if you want to do that month-to-month membership and get 50% off, I'll also honor that. But you got to email me for that today. Same deadline applies, Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. All right. Well, go out, be awesome today. Remember, you have greatness inside of you, and be the change that you want to see in the world. Go out, write your mission statement, share it with people, and see whose life you can impact today. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.